This is RTD Tech and we're back again with another video today about the Realme 6, so stay tuned. We also did a review on the Realme 6 Pro, so definitely check that out if you're interested. So the Realme 6 is a budget phone coming in at £190 or $250. And for what you're getting in this phone, it could be one of the best budget phones we've seen this year so far. So firstly, in terms of design, Realme has always done a good job at creating some good looking budget phones. The Realme 6 is no exception. It either comes in Comet Blue or Comet White and both look pretty attractive in my opinion. Now the back and frame on this phone are both plastic, whereas you did get a glass back on the 6 Pro. That's kind of to be expected considering this is such a cheap phone. However, it would have been really nice to see glass on the back as well. On the front you get a 6.5-inch display, which is Gorilla Glass 3. Unfortunately, it is an LCD panel with a 1080p resolution. That's pretty standard on many budget phones. However, one of the biggest features of this phone is that you do get a 90Hz display. That's incredibly rare to see on a phone at this price point. That higher refresh rate will make everything a lot smoother from scrolling through apps or if you like playing games on your phone. Lastly, the display reaches 480 nits of brightness, which should be okay for everyday use. So in terms of the specs, for the processor you get a MediaTek Helio G90T. That should have similar performance to the Snapdragon 720G, which you get on the 6 Pro. So you get pretty similar performance to many other budget phones. It's nothing crazy, but it will get you through everyday tasks. In terms of RAM and storage, the options are 4 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of storage or 6 or 8 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of storage. As we mentioned in previous videos, if you're using cloud services such as Google Photos and Google Drive, you probably won't need very much storage on your phone. It is nice to have the option of 128 gigs for those people who want to download movies or other files. And to be honest, 4 gigs of RAM will probably be okay. However, you might want to opt for the 6 or 8 gigs of RAM if you're planning on doing more intensive tasks on your phone, if you're a big gamer, for example. Now, in terms of the battery in this phone, you get a 4,300 mAh battery, which is pretty big nowadays. However, considering you do have a 90Hz display on this phone, you will see a hit in your battery life if you have that toggled on. I would say that you will get pretty decent battery life with this phone. You do also get 30-watt fast charging, which they call VOOC charge, and they claim that you can get to 100% in 55 minutes. Now onto the cameras on this phone. On the back you get a quad lens array, including a 64 megapixel wide lens, an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens, a 2 megapixel portrait lens, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. Now while 64 megapixels does sound pretty impressive, what's more important is the software processing that goes on after you've taken the picture to make the photo look more appealing in terms of the colors. And this phone does an okay job. It's not spectacular as you would expect from a budget phone. Camera quality has always been a place where budget phones have suffered. And also in terms of video quality, you can film up to 4K at 30 frames per second or 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is standard on pretty much all phones nowadays. In terms of the front-facing camera, you get one lens which is actually in a hole punch cutout and should be okay for selfies. You're not getting the dual lens setup that you do get on the Realme 6 Pro with a slightly wider angle lens as well. However, it should be okay for most people. In terms of the software on this phone, it is running Android 10 with the Realme UI skin over the top. And as someone who prefers stock Android, I would say that it's an okay skin. It's definitely not as bad as many others I've seen. It looks quite a lot like ColorOS, which is Oppo's skin. Some other features I should mention are that you do get a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is good news for people who have wired headphones, and you do also get a fingerprint reader, which actually doubles as the power button on the side of the phone. It's incredibly responsive and accurate, but that should be expected for a phone in 2020. If you don't want to unlock your phone via fingerprint, you do also get the option of face unlock, which is actually incredibly fast, one of the fastest we've seen on any phone. Overall, the Realme 6 is just an incredible phone. You're getting that 90Hz display, the quad array of lenses on the back, and also the pretty beefy battery, all for the price of £190 or $250. If you do want a few more features and you're willing to pay a little bit more, then definitely check out the Realme 6 Pro. It's just a slightly more premium phone. That's it from this video. If you liked it, please press the thumbs up button. If you loved it, please consider subscribing.